Hi guys, I'm Mark from Origin Series. We provide online training programs for people who need guidance and structure to their workouts, either in the gym or at home. Along with online training programs, we also provide online nutritional support for clients who require help with their nutrition to support their health and fitness goals. We have a large team who are able to take care of all of your nutritional needs, regardless of your goal. And you can find us at originseries.com, or you can find us on Instagram at Origin Training.
Welcome to Real Coaching Radio, the podcast for coaches by coaches. We are here to teach you how to get the most out of your clients and yourself. This is where beauty meets the beast, brains meet brawn, and science meets, well, bro science. Welcome to Real Coaching Radio. Welcome to today's episode of the podcast. Today, me and Mark talk about how to deal with stress when running your own business and how to fit your training around a busy schedule. This is something that Mark has kind of dealt with and had to adjust with over the past couple of years, especially since COVID started. And if you are someone who is busy and is struggling to train, this is a great episode for you. But without any further ado, let's begin the show. How did you find running 10 marathons in 5 days?
Shit. In one word. Mate, I'm beyond that now. Well, no, not I'm beyond it. That's the wrong word. That makes me sound a bit big-headed. I'm too old
I'm
for
above that now.
I'm too old for that, is what I mean. 10 years ago, I'd have loved that. Absolutely loved it. But I got too much going on, too many responsibilities.
Yeah.
To just like almost shut down for a week to purely focus on that.
How have you found, because so I'm at a place now where my training, for example, I train pretty much 2 hours a day, almost whenever I want, apart from fitting clients around. I work around kind of clients, then my training, and then fit all my work in around that. So I have a lot of freedom and very little responsibilities. Obviously, I have the stuff I need to do for the gym. I have the stuff I do for you guys. I have the stuff for my PT. And then I've got my own stuff that I'm focusing on. So it's not like I don't have stuff to do.
Yeah, you got quite a lot going on still.
But I don't have like other responsibilities of like, it's not, I have one business which supports me and say my partner as well. But I don't have a child, for one, which is a huge responsibility. And what have you got now? 3 businesses?
3 businesses, yeah.
And so 3 businesses which has come around pretty much through the pandemic. You had one established already, right? And then...
Yeah, so we had one established already. And then the second one, if you like, not necessarily in this order, but the second one, if you like, in terms of the educational side of things, the personal training courses, we were already running, but I joined forces with one of my good friends who also owns gyms, and we've been able to scale that significantly compared to what we were doing, because before it wasn't really a main priority for us. And then also the gym. The gym was planning to be open before the pandemic, but obviously that didn't happen. And yeah, hopefully there's no more lockdowns and we can remain open. So yeah, 3.
So how does your brain go from, I get so stressed just focusing on this one business that I'm trying to kind of like create without the responsibilities of having kids and stuff like that, and without having other people depend on me? Because I think that's the thing as well. Like you said, you've got, you and Kate have got a business together. And now you've got a gym where there's 3 of you, and you've also got this My PT, which is another partner, separate business partner. So you've got businesses where it's not just you. There's loads of people that actually depend on it.
Yep.
And I don't want to be like, actually just putting more fear into your head right now. But do you know what I mean? Like, it's a lot of, how do you go from, okay, so I'm doing my personal training, I'm doing my online training, I'm doing a bit of education stuff, and I've pretty much got a lot of freedom, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Or has it felt like that's gone from freedom to now I've got a lot more responsibilities and it's a lot more stressful? Or was it just as stressful in the past?
No. Well, so this is the thing. Back then, in that moment in time, I was like, oh my God, I've got no time. I'm so stressed. Whereas now, if I look back 3 years, 4 years maybe, I'm like, what are you going on about? You've got all the time in the world.
Yeah, it's mental, isn't it? I think Jasper, which is one of Origin Series' new coaches, at the moment, he's finding his feet within the industry. And he says to me, he's like, I've got so much to do and I'm not where you are. And I'm like, mate, just wait till you wait till you're in my shoes looking at Mark going, I have so much to do. How are you doing what you're doing?
Yeah, but I think, I don't know. So there's a bit of me that thrives off having so much to do. There is a bit of me that gets a thrill from it. But then every now and then I have a bit of a moment where I just want it all to go away and I just want to lock myself in a room for 6 hours without a phone, without anybody being able to contact me.
A dark room.
Yeah, just bash my head on the wall.
I get that. I genuinely get times where I'm just completely burnt out, and it was like the other weekend trying to get that program up and running. I worked on a Sunday from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. It's the longest I've ever worked on one project in one go. I had an hour break in the middle to take my dog for a walk, and obviously eating during that day or whatever. But like after that, and after I finally got that program out, and I've still not finished everything I want to do on it. I've still got videos to edit and things like that. But I was just broken, man.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
How do you deal with genuinely the stress of having those 3 businesses? Like, how do you deal with those times where you do want to just go into a room and just fucking just turn everything off to everyone else? How do you deal with that?
I don't really know is the answer. You know, every now and then I have a bit of I do have moments. Kate is generally the only person that ever sees the moments. Because I'm a person who is not very good with my emotions and my feelings anyway. I've never been that person. I've never expressed emotion and feelings to closest friends and family, really. I just try and keep it all in and deal with it. There's been times where, like, there's been some moments that I've been a little bit broken, and Kate picks up the pieces basically. And she's wicked. So without her, I don't think. But essentially, without Kate, I wouldn't be able to do any of it at all. Especially with like having Kobe, like she does so much with Kobe, and takes a lot of that pressure and stress away from me. And then in terms of working with her, I'm really fortunate that we have the relationship that we do have. You know, we work together, we live together, we have a child together, we have a relationship together, you know, so it's pretty 24/7. So I'm fortunate that we do have that relationship, and it makes certainly work a lot easier and less stressful. I'm quite fortunate that Jack and I have pretty similar views on so far everything, in terms of, you know, what we want to do with the business and our thoughts on what the industry needs and kind of like where we want to take it. So that's really easy to manage, which is great. And then again, like down the gym, you guys and the team that we have now, you know, everyone's got each other's backs, everyone helps each other out. So without all of that, like I you know, there's still times where I stress, like, you know, I went away for the weekend and well, you could tell I was a bit stressed about going away for the week because I weren't going to be there for a few days, and just I struggle to let things go a little bit.
I suppose that is why it's good to have a good team and like a good support system around you, especially like work wise. And when you're when you're self-employed, or you've got your own businesses and you are running these things, like having people like Kate, like Jack, and the team down at Origin Athletic, it does just make things a little bit less stressful, because you know that, like, especially when it comes to you and Kate, you've got these times where, and she said this to me before, that you need to work with your partner as a team.
Yeah.
And when they are struggling and when they are dropping balls and when they're like messing things up, you just pick that up and you just do your part at that point. Mm-hmm. And when there's times where you're doing it, you best believe that they're going to do the same for you.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing that me and my partner Jess, we've found our feet a little bit with that. It's just, I'm the same. Like, there's been multiple times, like, we sat downstairs before and I've been saying to her, you don't understand, like, I feel, and you may be the same, I feel like I'm walking along this ledge, and some days, like, I'm really stable and everything's fine, and other days I feel like I'm a week away from falling off of it. Like, I feel like everything could just click and go wrong.
But there are some days I feel like I'm two annoying things happening away from like a breakdown. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, that is sometimes, that is how I feel sometimes.
And it's just it's an amazing thing, because I don't know if do you think it's because of how passionate you are about it, or because of the amount of the pressure that we put on ourselves because you want to achieve something greater than where you currently are? Because we could all kind of just decide, actually, I'm happy to go and just work wherever that's going to pay the bills. Like, for example, if I was a personal trainer, I could just decide to go and work in a big box gym, and they will pretty much just pay me a salary. I'd get a little bit of commission, and that would be that, and I could be happy doing that.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of it comes from the fact that we strive to be better and to do more, and raise a standard. So I think a lot of it comes from just having this ability to not settle.
Yeah.
You know, and not I get a bit worried if I feel like things are going well.
Yeah, mate. I don't know if this is because, and like, when I went through like my cognitive behavior therapy, and we were like looking back through parts of my life and things like that, anytime I was happy, something would go wrong.
Yeah.
So now, anytime I'm like, oh, things are going really well, I'm like, what's around the corner?
Yeah. And I had a conversation with my brother last week, actually, whilst we were doing this whole marathon thing. And he's a lot better at it than I am. Firstly, he's a lot better at talking about his feelings, his emotions. And secondly, he's a lot better at sort of like living in the moment. You know, we were driving into the gym, and he's just like, you know, we're driving into the gym, and when I drive into the gym, my mind just like runs wild. It's just like, right, I've got this going on, I've got to do this, I need some sort of dictaphone in the car with me, really.
I don't listen to music. On the way in the morning, I have no music on or nothing on, because I'm like, what have I got to get done? What is really important?
Yeah.
Like, same thing.
Yeah. Whereas my brother was just like, well, you know, we're just in a car on this road at this set of traffic lights. I'm just like, fuck, I wish I could do that.
Yeah.
But, you know, and then I follow a few accounts on Instagram, like business accounts and stuff. And there was one quote that I saw ages ago now, which, like, every now and then I go back to it and it makes me feel better. And it's something like, if you feel like you're in control, you're not going fast enough.
Yeah. Jesus.
And it's kind of like, that pretty much sums up my life, essentially.
Yeah.
Like, because I balance, genuinely balance on the edge of like, I've got my shit together and I'm in control, but I'm like seconds away
Yeah.
at any given point.
Hi guys, I'm Charlie from Hack the Body, Hack the Mind. I am one of the co-hosts, and if you are looking for help with your programming but don't feel like online coaching is for you, I've created Buildings. Now, Buildings is a selection of program designed to help you achieve any goal with exercise tutorials and workout tracking all at your fingertips. So if you feel like you just need help with some programs and you just want some structure but don't feel like online coaching is for you, then please head to www.hackthebodyhackthemind.com for more information. Thank you so much and enjoy the rest of this episode. Have you seen the meme where it's like a bloke with a mask and a smiley face on, and then behind it's like complete torment and raging?
I'm not sure I have, but yeah.
It's that. It's that thing of having your shit together on the outside,
Yeah.
and spinning your wheels on the inside.
Yeah. But again, like, you know, there are some days, and they are rare, but there are some days where I moan and I complain about that. But when I sit and think about it, like even now, like I'm sitting here smiling. It's just like I get a bit of a thrill from those feelings. Like I quite like it.
I enjoy. I think having your own business and like especially doing this type of stuff, it's such a strange industry and it's such a weird way that we get our work, and like it's completely different to any other industry I've worked with, because you're not working with, very rarely unless you're doing corporate stuff, working with other businesses. There's never really a business agreement which goes on. It's always you're working with a person, this emotional being which changes their mind constantly. And I go through stages where I'm like, I love this job.
Yeah.
And then stages where I'm like, I want to just scrap it all in.
Yeah.
I'm done with it. And I think like there's moments which are really rewarding, but there are also, and I think that's that whole thing of like, if you are comfortable, why are you comfortable?
Yeah.
Normally it's because you aren't going fast enough. You're not trying to push to that next level. You're not looking for that next thing.
Yeah. I mean, there are times where I think it's probably a good idea to like take a bit of a step back and just be like, right, I'm just going to stay here for like a couple of days and like just settle.
I did that last week.
Yeah. And then because then I think it recharges your batteries a little bit and you're ready, and you know, you can, and I always, and Kate and I say this to each other all of the time. Every time we go away, whether it's just, you know, it only needs to be for a night or two, but every time we go away, we have some of our best ideas. Like Origin Series, we created Origin Series like lying by a swimming pool.
Yeah.
When we were on I think it was actually our first holiday together. And you know, it's kind of where it is now.
It's exciting though.
Yeah, every time we go away, like, so we went away for Kate's birthday and in the Lake District, and on Saturday, not even joking, from about 9:30 till 5-6 p.m, our laptops were both open.
Yeah.
We didn't stop working.
And that's just coming up with ideas and just
coming up with ideas, and obviously, like, you know, we've had this transition with the software that we're using at the gym, so we had to get all that sort of stuff set up. And obviously we're taking on some new coaches, so we were like coming up with ideas for those. But it was the excitement again of just like, right, well, where are we going now?
Yeah, I think that's what I think that's what I enjoy about creating new projects and having something running.
Yeah,
because if there's always something I'm focusing on which is external from the day-to-day run-ins of my business, I get proper drive out of that. Like, I always find that if I'm the whole quadrants of where we spend our time and time management, like you have the first quadrant, which is your urgent stuff and important stuff, which is you're reacting to emails, you get someone call you, you're dealing with like the here and now and the instant kind of things and problems that come up in your day to day. And then you have the important but not urgent, which is quadrant 2. And that's normally where we should spend most of our time, because we're planning in that area. We are looking forward. We aren't just reacting. We are actually like making decisions. And that's the bit that I love to be able to do, is to be ahead in what I'm doing, to then be able to put a plan together to put pressure on myself going forward. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So then my time is full. I have these deadlines that I've got to hit. It's stressful, but I know when I've got that happening, yes, there's loads of work going on, but I know I'm getting somewhere.
Yeah, and I think it's important to have those things, because if you don't have those things, and I've been in the position where I have. There's been times where I haven't had those things. You get sucked into the day-to-day running, and then you feel like you're going somewhere, but you're not.
You're running on a treadmill.
Yeah, exactly. You're just on that hamster wheel. Sometimes you need to get off it and just be like, right, well, what's the next project? What's the next project? What are we doing now? What are we doing now? And just having that drive to do more.
Yeah. I think I'm really lucky, like, in my... I love having conversations because it makes me actually think, because I will sit there and stress and have all this imposter syndrome and do all of these different things where I'm like, I'm done with this job. But when I think about it, I'm extremely lucky with who I'm surrounded by. Not just in like the gym environment, but like all the people that I confide in and speak to about my business. Like, I'm really quite lucky with the support I've got. And there's a lot of knowledge there that could be learned. And that's the thing that I always, that baffles me when I don't have anything going on, when I'm not progressing, when I'm not pushing and trying to push my business forward. I get miserable, I get down, I beat myself up, I feel like I'm not doing anything, I feel like I'm not good enough because I'm on that hamster wheel. And those are the things that I'm like, well, if I'm continuously looking forward and planning, I feel so much better.
Yeah, and I think you then stay, don't get me wrong, you're still gonna have days where you're tired and can't be bothered, but I think as generally you stay more motivated and more engaged with what it is you're trying to achieve, as opposed to, like we said, just being on a treadmill.
Yeah. So, talking of treadmills, how is your training changed since you've taken on all these responsibilities, new businesses, had a kid? Dreadful idea that was. Because how did you used to train compared to how you train now?
Well, I used to train very similar to how you described that you train, in terms of, I used to have a good 2 hours a day where I could just like go and do what I want, not worry about anything else. I had no other responsibilities. I could just go home whenever I wanted and do whatever I wanted, essentially. Could train at pretty much any point during the day, whatever I fancied. And that was it. Whereas now, and I've tried... My training, to be fairly blunt, for the last probably year, has been pretty atrocious. Probably the worst it's ever been in my life, I would say.
Does that get to you?
Yeah, I hate it.
Yeah. When my training's off, everything else for me just feels...
And I feel like I get into a routine, and then something comes along that is way more important, in terms, some sort of business situation comes along that I need to go and sort out, or Kobe's not very well, or and obviously that's way more important. So there's generally something that is of a higher importance that comes along and takes that away from me. But some of that is my own fault, because I was still trying to train the same way I was training before. Whereas actually last week, the whole marathon thing gave me a little bit of time. You can think about a lot of things when you spend 3 hours on a rowing machine, just in case you ever wanted somewhere to think.
I don't think combined the amount of time I spent on a rowing machine equals the amount of time you sat for one go on a rowing machine. So
yeah, I thought a lot about my training during that week, because I actually couldn't really train during that week. There's no way I was going to be back squatting and all of the sorts of stuff whilst I was doing that. So I essentially, I've been, for the last probably 2 years, I've been burning the candle at both ends and smack bang in the middle. My just in a high stress, high pressure situation in almost every aspect of my life. We in one year, in fact, not even in a year, in a 9-month period, I became a dad. We went into lockdown, and I moved house.
Moving house, right? Ignore the other two. Moving a house is the most stressful thing. Me and Jess moved house, right? And we had stuff from 2 rooms. We only had my room at my dad's house, Jess's room at her parents' house, and we had to move that into one whole house. Jesus Christ, that was the most stressful time of my life.
I hate moving house, mate. I hate it. But so yeah, in a 9-month period, I did those 3 things. And also, actually, within that, I had a baby, went into lockdown, opened the gym, closed the gym, moved house. So, and since then, it's pretty much just been a high stress situation. So my body is just like has been on high stress alert the whole time. And then I've been stupidly, which is what I would tell my clients not to do, I've been stupidly adding to that stress by trying to train at a volume and an intensity that probably doesn't fit my lifestyle. So, and that has ultimately just ended up in my training being pretty poor.
Your central nervous system's just going to be wiped because you've got all of these stress. Like, this is the thing that I say to all of my clients. Stress is stress. I've got a friend at the moment. I won't say who it is and I won't say what they're doing. But it's pretty cool. I'll tell you after the podcast. But they're creating an app at the moment, and he's also trying to sort his nutrition out, trying to lose weight, diet. He's working a normal job as well as trying to get this side thing up and running. And I spoke to him on the phone yesterday, and I was just like, stress is stress. Your body just knows all of these different things as stress. And if you start putting yourself in a calorie deficit, so you're trying to lose like body fat, as well as training the way that you haven't really been training before because you've been inconsistent, plus trying to get this business off the ground and still do your normal shit, like you are pretty much running headfirst into a wall.
Yeah.
And that would probably do your body better.
Yeah. So for the rest of this year, I'm just going to not take a step back from training, because my training will probably increase, but it's certainly in quality. But I'm just going to spend some time just on real basic stuff, building back up to some real strong foundational work, both from a strength perspective and cardiovascular, and then kind of address where we are sort of like early next year, I guess.
Yeah, that's the one thing that I struggle with this job, is not having a routine of when things happen, because it's always changing. And I feel like that messes with my training schedule a lot, which makes it really difficult to find that routine and find that place you're happy with. In my old job, I knew that I was going to the gym either every morning, and if I had to work far away, I was going on the evening when I got back.
Yeah.
So like it was pretty much black and white.
Yeah.
But during this, like you said, if you've got something which comes up, like there's been multiple times I'd go to train and someone had asked me for something, and
well, you know, you don't.
Yeah, before I know it, it's not happening that day.
And I actually also find it quite challenging, which is a bit annoying, because I love our gym. I actually find it quite challenging to train in my own gym, because I'm always looking, in between sets, I'm tidying stuff up. Yeah. I'm always looking for stuff like, or, people will ask me questions, or people will want stuff, people will need stuff, like, and that's fine. That's part of what it is, and that's the responsibility that I have. Which is one of the other reasons why we're currently in the transition of converting our garage into a proper gym, essentially.
Yeah, I just think it's such a good idea to, in your mind, like the gym, for especially for like people like me and you who love it, is a place where it does help us de-stress. And if you're chucking yourself into stressful environments like left, right and center, you're just genuinely going to run yourself into the ground.
Yeah. And one of, everybody says, and I say this to some clients, just like, put your phone in airplane mode or turn your phone off and go and train. And that would probably help me. But it actually wouldn't help me, because the only reason I take my phone into the gym, and then I get distracted by emails and stuff, so I probably reply to emails. Well, I do reply to emails in between sets, which is a terrible habit. The only reason I take my phone into the gym is in case Kate needs to call me because something's happened to Kobe, and I need to leave to be there. Whereas if I'm training at home and Kate and Kobe are at home, she just needs to come to the garage and get me.
Yeah.
So I could go into the garage. I could even leave my phone in the house and go into the garage
Yeah.
and just train.
That would be so much better for you. So the adjustment of training, like, have you just accepted now that you need to adjust the amount of time you spend training, adjust what you're trying to achieve from the training sessions?
Yeah, essentially, yeah. Just take the pressure off of training at such a high level for a little while. Just
does
because,
your body good as well, though?
Yeah, absolutely, and I think it will do. You know, I've obviously had, as you know, like I've had a few injuries the last 12 months really, that haven't really gone away, which have also been annoying and also had an impact on my training. But again, probably some of that is because I'm training under stress and doing things my body probably just shouldn't really be doing.
Poor sleep as well.
Yeah.
You said you've not been well.
Well, Kobe doesn't sleep very well. He's getting a bit better, but he, the first certainly 15, 16 months of his life, he didn't sleep very well. So yeah, it's been a pretty steep learning curve.
Yeah. But I think that's from what I can see, and from what I think the advice that should come out of this is like, and I was thinking about this today, I don't know how I'm going to adjust in the future when I've got to change my training, or it gets to that point in years down the line where I stop getting stronger, or where it gets to that place where I'm like, I know I got to adjust, but like my internal ego wants me to continue to do the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, there is the other thing of like, I'm now 35.
Right.
So I'm on the wrong side of being able to realistically continue to get stronger.
Yeah.
Without synthetic assistance.
Yeah. Which means you've got one choice to stop yourself from getting pissed off with every session you go into, is to adjust your focus.
Yeah, I mean, essentially, I need to move. Ultimately, I need to move away from beating my body up in the gym, is because ultimately that's pretty much what I've been doing for the last 5 or 6 years. To just toning it down a little bit, because I can still, I still got a good level of strength. I've lost some strength because of injuries and poor training. But it's still there. I know it's still there. And I just need I just need to follow a sensible basic structure. Like I say it all the time on social media and stuff, like, and with all my clients, like the basics win, like, all of the time. So I just need to follow my own advice.
Do you think, I've had times in my life especially where I get sick and tired of training, and training, which used to be the thing that helped me relax, or used to be the thing which kind of gave me my little sanctuary as such, just started to add more stress to my life, started to make things more difficult. Do you think for yourself that there's been times during this past year where training has just become more frustrating than it is helpful?
Yeah, but again, I think that's my own fault, because I've been trying to train in a way. It's ultimately come down to the fact that I did not want to accept that my time I've become a little bit more time poor. I've got other responsibilities that are higher up a priority list than what me being able to train is. And and all of that coupled with the fact that I'm getting older, it's just my ego not letting me accept all of that, and still trying to train the way I could when I was 25, and the time that I had available when I was 25, compared to the responsibilities and time that I have at 35.
So if you had a client sat in front of you right now,
Yeah.
which is basically a mirror,
Yeah.
what advice would you give to them right now with knowing everything you know about this person? Because this person's you.
Yeah.
Thought I'd let you know if you hadn't caught on. And what advice would you give them? What would you say? How would you tell them to train? How would you tell them to divide their time and their focus?
So my training is now, certainly for the next few months, is just going to be focused on real basic strength exercises to build up a solid foundation, and also an intensity that is repeatable, essentially, as opposed to me just hammering myself in the gym, and just taking out like all of the high stress, high fatigue. Well, not taking out all of it, but just like lowering the dose, basically.
Just giving yourself, are you focusing on just giving yourself enough time to complete a session, completing a session which you know is going to benefit you because it follows all the correct principles? And is it something that you're still going to make sure you enjoy?
Yeah, I think that's probably the biggest thing, like, is the enjoyment, because I haven't enjoyed training recently because of the stresses that I've had that have impacted my training, and also the injuries I've had that have impacted my training. You know, I've been in training in pain, which is not a nice thing to do. So I essentially want to, there have been times where I've left a session and midway through the session, I'm already in pain. I continue doing the session. So by the time I've finished the session, like, my back is completely crippled. Whereas now it's about, well, I want to get to the end of a session, feel like I've definitely achieved a good quality session, but also not needing an hour to get my shit together before I can do anything else in my life.
Yeah, I think, yeah, it's just, I guess the take home, if you're someone in a similar situation or you're battling with the idea of having to change your training, is that it will do you so much better.
Yeah.
Like, it's really difficult. And I said, I try my best to be extremely self-aware, and even I have no idea how I'm going to deal with the adjustment that I'm going to have to make probably 10 years down the line when I am in your shoes.
Yeah, I mean, even though I 100% absolutely know that this is not the case, I am still just naturally somebody who will fall into more is better.
Yeah. Yep. That is,
and it's not.
No. That's, so in the program, it's so funny because we're idiots. Like, the amount of knowledge we've got,
yeah,
and we still fall back into the old habits of like training to failure all the time. I went through a period where I was training to failure constantly. I was fading. Like, I was doing 160 kg back squats for reps and failing with that on my back.
Remember that, yeah.
Like, I failed a back squat, I'm not even joking, 3 times in about 5 weeks.
Yeah, I remember that.
So, like, and heavy weights as well. And if I had a client, right, who was telling me that they were failing, well, what do you think I'd be doing with them?
Yeah, right.
And I still don't do that with myself. And I think that's the difficulty is, and that's what I've done with this, with the program I was writing, is I've literally put in a way to make sure you are not overdoing it by following these rules. And if you don't follow those rules, well, that's on you.
Yeah.
But these rules are in place. And I've followed that program to a T for the first 4 weeks. And I'm stronger now than when I was going balls to the wall in that strength phase.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, some of that balls to the wall is obviously carried over to get me to this place. But my point is I'm at a position now where I actually don't feel like I am dying, and I am stronger.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's just by going through this phase that we should take our own advice sometimes.
Would be useful.
So yeah, I guess we shall end it there.
Mm-hmm.
But is there any passing comments that you want to say? Any kind of advice to yourself?
Oh, I think it's good advice to anybody who's either working in the industry or training. You know, it's not an easy industry. Well, certainly for those that work in the industry, it's not an easy industry to work in. It's not an easy industry to be in. Everybody's going to have their challenges, and I think every personal trainer at some point is probably going to reach burnout. And it's just about trying to every you look at fitness certainly on social media, and it looks like everybody's just having a great time and everybody's sort of like just training all of the time and living this incredible life, and just in that's not the reality. I think every single personal trainer that I know, certainly a successful personal trainer that I know, at some point has come close to hitting rock bottom in their own life because they're spending so much time trying to improve other people's lives. So yeah, I think it's just like that's but maybe accept that it's potentially going to happen at some point, and then learn from it and learn how to do it better next time so that it doesn't happen. And then in your own training, more is not better.
Just finishing and going off of that, I think if you are someone in general, not necessarily have to work in the industry, but just someone who is trying to get better in all aspects of your life, be that training, be that your relationships, be that work, or all of the above, then I'd suggest when you do burn out, reflect on that period and try to find the signs that burnout is occurring and have a plan of what you do when that happens. So me, for example, I've kind of got the idea of when burnout is. Mine normally comes on a Friday afternoon when I've spent the whole week just working silly hours, and then I come to a Friday and I'm asleep on the sofa at 2:30 in the afternoon because I'm so burnt out. I know that weekend I need to spend the morning and spend some time actually just working on other things in my life rather than work or other than my training. And that's why my training's gone from 6 days to 5 days a week. And I think that's something that you can take on yourself, is that more isn't always better, and that could be the thing that's detrimental to you. But just have a little think, have a little look at your own life, have a little look at your own training, and just see where you could be going wrong. But thank you so much for tuning in. This has been Real Coaching Radio. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode of the podcast. I told you it was a good one. We kind of dove deep on how we deal with stresses, and it is completely normal to kind of feel like you are breaking down and feel like you are going nowhere sometimes. I guess being able to readjust and knowing that more is not always better can be really helpful. You sometimes have to understand that burnout is going to occur when you are someone who is trying to progress constantly in their life and to achieve a lot of things, I guess. Everything that you do, whether you work a 9 to 5 or you work your own business, it doesn't matter. If you're putting extreme amounts of effort into improving some aspect of your life, be that work, training, relationships, or all three, it's going to come with some consequences, and you need to kind of adjust the rest of your life around that. And 9 times out of 10, we cannot adjust the rest of our life. Life just happens. Work happens. We have family we've got to look after. There's multiple times where we just feel like we're fighting fires, and that is just something we have to adjust to. So if you're trying to ramp your training up at the same time with dealing with all of these other stresses, it may be more detrimental than beneficial to kind of do that. So my biggest advice is really kind of fly by the seat of your pants almost. Really try your best to adjust when you can and how you can. It can be really difficult, and it's a massive ego hit to know that, oh, actually, I do need to take some time off now, or training needs to look a little bit different than it currently does. Otherwise, I am just going to continue to burn myself out, and that means you're not going to be good to anyone. So thank you so much for tuning in. We will see you on the next one. Hi guys, so I thought I'd let you know that if you are thinking of getting a workout program and buildings is the direction you are going to go, then just for being one of the podcast listeners, I am giving you a 20% discount off of buildings. So if you type in RCR20, that's Romeo Charlie Romeo 20, in the checkout, then you will get a discount of 20% off of all of the programs and all of the different buildings there.